One of the Sanskrit terms that I get asked about a lot is Vairagya, because a lot of people see this term in my books and also hear me mentioning it on Enlightenment Today here a lot. And so a lot of people want me to go deeper into this term. So that's what I'm going to focus on today, is Vairagya. So when we look at this term, what is Vairagya? Vairagya can be translated in English as dispassion or non-reactiveness. And it can be thought of in a few ways. But the main way is that to understand liberation, or to experience, to use some Eastern terms, to experience mukti, moksha, nirvana, we need to have a level of vairagya. It's very important. Meaning, we're dispassionate towards the world. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't care. It just means that you're focused on your own liberation, which actually brings you closer and connects you to the entire universe. And so what that entails is, if you were to practice Vairagya, it means that you need to kind of lose interest in a lot of these things in society that we're supposed to be interested in. A lot of us believe that we should be concerned about politics and social affairs and all of these things that in the end change so quickly that it's hard to keep up. And it's kind of, it's a little nonsensical to always follow the daily news. And this is basically what Vairagya is. Vairagya is basically a rejection of the daily news. Instead of getting the daily newspaper, don't worry about it. Just get rid of it. No daily news, don't look at news on the internet, nothing. There's that level of dispassion. And so what this practice does is it trains your mind not to be drawn into a lot of worldly affairs, a lot of worldly news, a lot of worldliness, I should say. And so this is kind of like the other Sanskrit term, pratyahara, which is kind of sense withdrawal, meaning withdrawing your senses from those things that kind of stimulate and agitate them. These two terms are very similar, but they are different. And so Vairagya is that dispassion, that kind of rejection of those things that we're supposed to be attracted to, but only promote division amongst humanity and promote this kind of dualistic thinking within your mind, which is very unnatural. We're taught this from birth, to have this sense of dualism within ourselves. And if you are someone who practices a lot of the Eastern paths, the goal is usually to understand the oneness of the universe, that non-dual aspect within our mind, and coming back into resonance with that. And Vairagya is kind of a path towards that liberation and that understanding of that non-dual reality. So we need to practice that level of dispassion. Now, I can use myself as an example. I rarely look at the news. I rarely get engaged in, what drives people these days and what makes them tick and what's important. I consciously make a choice to be focused on the teachings of the East and writing and speaking about this. This is my path. And so, the spirituality, the culture, and the people of the East is my path, and that's what I focus on. So this level of dispassion, of Vairagya, keeps me focused on that. Don't get me wrong, I personally, I was happy when Narendra Modi won the election, because I believe in the great Bharat. I believe in the great culture of India, and I don't think that will ever go away, and I don't think that should ever go away, and I don't think it's good for people who are outside of India or the great Bharat, who are outside of that, who have their opinions about how they should be and this and that, based on their own world views, which is kind of ridiculous. Bharat is Bharat, and it's always been Bharat, and that's why it's the greatest enduring civilization in the world, because of those reasons. These things that hold them together, these values that hold the entire Hindu civilization together. And Bharat itself is such an inclusive civilization. We could say it's not just Hindu, even though it was primarily Hindu, but that's getting off track and kind of a whole other conversation, because you have all these people with outside opinions and so forth and so on. The point is that I was happy about that. I was like, oh, that's good. But at the same time, If you get drawn too much into that, you get this kind of opinionated political slant about yourself. And a lot of people have this, you see this in America a lot. And, I have a lot of American friends because of a lot of my readership is in America, and I've got a lot of good friends over there. But it's hard to be in conversation with an American without politics coming up and someone having an opinion on the matter. I always wanted to go to America and have someone that just didn't have an opinion on it. They didn't care if Trump was the president or Obama, or they just didn't care. It's just like, this is my life. I'm in control of my life. Whoever is there doesn't matter. That's just somebody else doing something else. I'm in control of my life. And so I really wish I had met someone like that in America, but it's not yet to happen. And this is it's not just bound by America. America is kind of an extreme example, because if you view the news or you watch television, there is a lot of political debates back and forth, right and left and so forth and so on. And a great Gyani or a great yogi would come along and go, what is this nonsense? You just got to practice dispassion and just walk away. This is just separatist. This is just this and that, which don't exist. They're made up things that we think exist. And then people kind of develop this bad habit of thinking someone is conservative or someone is liberal, and we stick to that, but we're not really that. We're a mix of both of those. Sometimes we're conservative, sometimes we're liberal. Our attitudes always change. You can't stick to it like you stick to eating a particular diet. Naturally, it changes. Your attitudes and your mentality and your behavior changes over time. So Vairagya is a way of healing that. It's a way of a rejection of having a political opinion, having a sense of, this is what I believe, and if you don't believe it, I disagree with you, and so forth and so on. You're not engaged in debates. You just say, I don't need to debate. I practice Vairagya. There's a dispassion to worldliness. And this is very important. It's very important. Because, the irony is, as I said earlier, when people think you practice Vairagya, they think you don't care. You know what really not caring about the world is? It's having an opinion and dividing the world according to your own opinions. That's a lack of care and a lack of understanding in the unity of humanity and the oneness of the universe. That's a lack of care. Dispassion is one of the greatest service you can provide for humanity, because you are saying, I am stopping this dualistic perspective and this dualistic psychology, and I'm choosing to align with the way reality truly is. And so to enhance this, Vairagya obviously has to be coupled with Viveka, with discernment, the ability to kind of discern in your mind what is real and what is unreal. And this discernment is very easy on the level of, you could say, worldliness. And I'm not talking about the deeper levels of, discerning between, you're thinking about something, and so then you cease to be attracted to dividing things up. This level of discernment I'm speaking about is just a discernment of, I don't need to be attracted to political problems and sporting issues and whatever pollutes the mind of people these days. So that Viveka will enhance also your Vairagya, enhance that. And the great sadhus and yogis actually take Vairagya to its extreme, when they break away from society and they live in the forest and become a forest sage, and they live that yogic path. And that's very virtuous. I'm not going to say anything negative against that. You can do that, and if you do that, best to. But if you're someone like myself, and probably like yourself who's watching this because you're on YouTube, then we live in society and we live with people. So it's even better for us to practice Vairagya than it is for, say, a yogi in the forest, because a yogi in the forest they don't have any other choice but to follow Vairagya. They don't have external stimulants and problems like that. So if you're in society and a lot of things are vying for your attention, then Vairagya is perfect to practice, because that allows you to stay away from those things that are training you to have an opinion, training you to see the world as separate. This is important. We can't continue to be trained like that, because if we continue to be trained like that, we can't complain about the state of the world. We can't complain about the way the world is now. We really can't, because we are being trained like that, to be separate from it through all of this dualistic stimulation. Good, bad, right, wrong, left, right. It's all nonsense. Practice Vairagya and align yourself with the ultimate truth of reality. And that's the greatest service that you can provide to humanity. And so that Vairagya, that dispassion, as I mentioned earlier, it is an act of non-reactiveness as well. Because you're not reacting to those things within your mind that are stimulating you to act in a certain way. You are looking at that, you see it, but you don't react. This is coupled with viveka as well. So you see that, you have that discernment, you don't react to those things that are bubbling up within your mind or what is stimulating you, and you remain or you abide in your true nature. You abide in the Atman, the true self, the Purusha. You abide in that. And that's why, in the end, Vairagya is important. And so it's up to you to practice that sincerely. A lot of people think that that's hard, but you can just begin small. You know, stop buying the newspaper. Stop visiting news sites on the internet. Don't have an opinion on things. If you are in a conversation and someone is trying to evoke an opinion out of you to either agree or disagree with them, just say, I'm non-partial on the matter. They might not call you back to go for another coffee, but what does that matter? You are being true to humanity. That's all that matters. That's all that matters in the end. So to do that, just start doing that. And for the love of God, get off social media as much as you can. Delete it, quit it, do whatever you need to do. All that's going to do is you're going to come across a lot of people who are affected by the dualistic mind, which I've been talking about, and who don't practice Vairagya. So they are not contributing to the benefit of mankind. They are not contributing to their own liberation, which contributes to the benefit of mankind. And so if you're watching this, then I applaud you, because hopefully this video will inspire you to practice Vairagya, which, as I mentioned, will contribute to your own liberation and will benefit the rest of humanity. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Remember, Vairagya is very important, especially within the Eastern traditions, if you want to go deeper within oneself to understand yourself. And do all those things. Subscribe, like this video, turn on the little bell notification, all of those things to keep this content rolling. And please check out my Patreon page. And if you're inspired by my work and inspired by these videos or my books, then please feel free to contribute to this channel, which will, contribute to further episodes, and also hopefully the production value will go up, and eventually I'll get on the road and create this travel vlog that I've been talking about for a year. But it's a work in progress. And so keep in mind everything I've said today about Vairagya. Vairagya is one of the most important practices you can practice, no matter whether even any spiritual tradition you practice, no matter whether West or East. If you understand what I've spoke about today, if you understand Vairagya, then you can use that, and that'll benefit your life to bring your mind back down into equanimity, to allow you to be better in relationships with other people, and also, and most importantly, to experience the ultimate liberation that we all are here to experience. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.